shortened time period.
Yeah. Which I actually prefer.
I was gonna say, are most teams doing the night blocks as well, or just you guys?
Well, other teams are doing it with us.
Someone else has to do it.
Yeah.
Well, internal, I don't know.
I assume that, yeah, we don't have any internal scrims. I mean, we don't have an academy team anymore, so there's like 3 or 4 other teams that we are scrimming against at night. So I assume that there's more than that we're just not having the schedule to scrim them, but I think every team should be doing at least once a day, one day out of the week.
Yeah, back in 2021, a lot of times try and squeeze scrims in on Friday when it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
At 2 in the morning, but that always felt a little awkward.
Yeah.
Going through this draft, it's a little surprising to see Sejuani first on blue side. Just to start things off, I'm kind of wondering where IMT are going with that one. Also, just to point out, Nico banned on red side, and also Static Shiv LeBlanc banned out, as well as Kenvi's Kindred for TSM.
Question I wanted to ask was actually Sejuani. Sejuani priority kind of blew up, especially in Korea. So what is your take on Sejuani? Why do you feel like the priority in this pick has kind of started to like raise a little more?
Well, at least I think in NA it hasn't really raised a lot, but from what I heard, a lot of people are playing Sejuani top as well in Korea, and it's being flexed, which is interesting. I do think that Sejuani top struggles against a lot of like the Static Shiv. I mean, Static Shiv plus like Gwen and a lot of the carries, I think actually kind of just beat Sejuani, but obviously once like Kindred's banned out and Vi's banned out, I feel like a lot of people feel like junglers aren't super strong, especially the carry junglers, so they want to play a lot of tank junglers like Maokai, Sejuani. I still think Maokai's pretty broken, to be honest. So I think that they should have first picked Maokai, but you know, different opinions.
C9 prio list, take notes, everyone.
Trap Kingdom, TSM already revving.
Blabber prefers.
I said I prefer. Blabber prefers very different things from me.
Doesn't want Sejuani or Maokai.
He's first picking Lee Sin.
Yeah.
I already like what I'm seeing from TSM so far, the Ksante and 3. I'm actually surprised that it went that far low with how much it's being played these days as a flex. So going in a 3-pick, flex between mid and top lane. Insanity, as another note for fans out there, Insanity is back on stage. So there was an expectation that Ruby will be here this week, but Insanity played really well in week 1. So it looks like they're giving him a chance.
Hopefully it's not another Winsome situation.
We talked about that.
We haven't heard any official reasoning from TSM. So you're like, was it like Ruby showed up and just needs more time to acclimate? Did he run it in scrims? And they're like, Insanity, come back. we don't really know.
What I hope it was is Insanity was playing well, so they're going to continue to play Insanity while he's playing well.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes roster changes could be that simple of like, the guy that's playing is doing good. Let's let him keep doing good, and then you're done.
Just out of curiosity, what do you think we're gonna see for Ksante prio on this patch, as opposed to 13-11?
I mean, I think it's definitely lower priority on most people's lists. I mean, I think stuff like Kennen, Renekton, it seems to be very high prior for a lot of the top laners. Still, like, I do think like after those champions, it seems that Ksante is still really high prior. Obviously, it being a flex helps a lot. And I don't think the changes really did anything, to be honest. I don't think like the 1 second off the E is changing Ksante in really any way.
What are your favorite counters to Kennen and Renekton fight?
And yeah, give us your Static Shiv tier list.
Yeah, like what chance would you?
Yeah, and your last 5
I like Tristana into Kennen. I think Tristana's a pretty good counter to Kennen.
I can't tell if you're saying just random stuff to troll anyone listening, or if you actually want Tristana into Kennen.
No, Tristana into Kennen's actually pretty good.
Okay.
You can ulti him away when he tries to E into you. When he goes to Static Shiv build, he can't ulti you and one-shot you because he's like mostly auto attack, so you actually win the all-in. Pretty good matchup.
There you go. What's like your 4-5 on blue?
Okay, hold on. This
That's a great pick.
yeah, Maokai flex or Graves solo?
I think
No,
that's...
Bugi literally just said, actually wait, what the hell is happening?
I mean,
it's
I think-
Insanity. No, Insanity loves playing Graves mid.
You think it's Static Shiv
yeah.
Graves mid?
It might be Static Shiv Graves mid. It's an
Let's
Insanity
go,
angle.
Insanity.
But hold on, their only magic damage is Maokai then.
Yeah, but
the
Maokai
enemy
can
team
go
has a lot of
demonic.
beef.
He can go demonic, I guess.
Yeah, he'd probably just go.
He has to, but man, that's
That's kind of bad.
not enough.
I
Here
don't feel like
comes
it's
the-
enough against all those tanks.
Against
I
The
Sion's
Zyra
and
support
Nautilus.
incoming or something. You gotta get some help.
think they got to put Maokai support and pick Gwen here or something. I don't know.
I mean, you probably could against Nautilus support. You can
Maybe
probably
you could,
play
yeah.
Maokai support.
Maybe you could, yeah.
I don't know. That's a lot of beef to go all physical into.
Can you play like Lilia or something?
I mean,
Is that champ trash now?
well, you need to pick a support here, right? Unless you're putting Maokai support. It's like the only thing.
I'm thinking Lulu or
Ooh.
Renata or...
Oh, it's I don't like it.
never mind.
Or it's just
I don't like it.
all physical with just
Yeah,
demonic
wow.
Maokai.
I don't like it.
Oh, Renata.
I do want to point out the Varus just as something that we already saw be very successful. The Static Shiv Varus build is disgusting to play.
Yeah, the only thing though is the static shift this game at least. He doesn't really want to go AP, I feel, because they have no physical damage.
I guess you can go triple shiv
Yeah,
for your
that's
AP. There you go. Magic damage, just triple shiv procs all over the place. Ksante can build shiv, no?
Actually,
He could, yeah.
I really like this draft from TSM. I think it's difficult for IMT to dive into them. You have Renata ulti, Maokai ulti are pretty damn good at stopping Sejuani, Sion, and Nautilus. Nautilus just feels really useless in my opinion here.
I just feel like the health bars are going to be too hard for TSM to decrease.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like the TSM.
I'm with you where it's like, yeah, they have a lot of tools to disengage a short range comp kind of out of IMT, but at the end of the day, it's all physical damage.
Right. Disagreement. I like it.
I'm not sure. I actually agree with Raz. I think that TSM is actually in a better position in drafts. I think that the damage is actually going to come through a lot more than expected. And if anything, I think that they can just build MR this game if Varus goes AP and they cannot deal damage to the red side comp. I think Ksante and Maokai.
Actually, Comet Varus, so I think it's gonna be Lethality Varus, which makes no sense to me. I'm pretty confused by that. So I've got to be honest. I thought it was gonna be on hit Varus. Like I thought it was gonna be like lethal tempo on hit Varus. You know, bring some AD, have that paired with the Annie. And I did think it was going to be incredibly hard for what TSM has drafted to get through Sejuani, Nautilus, Sion. But if you go Lethality Varus, I am pretty concerned for what their damage is. Like,
Okay.
Because it is still going to be a pretty beefy front line. Like Fudge was talking about, you know, having to deal with the Ksante and the Maokai. If you have a Lethality Varus, I don't know who's supposed to kill them. Annie's not killing them. Lethality Varus isn't killing them. Who's killing them?
Static Shiv Sejuani.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I guess we'll get
These
to
are some
find
weird
out.
drafts, man.
Yeah, we're having a wild one here for game number 4 of the day. Cleanse on both of our AD carries here once again. Heal for Chime, very defensive compared to the exhausts and ignites that we were seeing from the previous game. Treatz still going for that offensive option there with the ignite. Treatz has had a couple of happy moments in the first week. Immortals, honestly, you know, coming out of week 1, better than most people would expect at 2-1. The comeback versus Energy was absolutely the highlight of the whole thing, I would have to think. But if I'm looking at their early game, I want to make sure that Treatz isn't putting himself in some of those silly positions that have been punished by some other teams so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, game number 1 was really clean from them last week, so you definitely have to give them credit for that.
Yeah.
Game number 2 was them down like 10K coming back, and game number 3 was them getting absolutely stopped. So it really, you got everything, right? You got one that was close, one that was great in their favor, and one that was really in the favor of their opponents. So it is going to be interesting. But I mean, Graves mid is not something that I've been seeing a lot of like at all. I do think we're just seeing like a huge amount of just any range champion you like, you just play it mid and build static shift, right? Like I'm seeing a lot of that, and it does kind of feel like a little bit of insanity spice. Solo lane Graves, you know, when this was popular last year and in the past, it just has such heavy push, right? Like you're just constantly shoving in. Generally how it works in top lane and mid lane is you just push non-stop all game, whole time, and you make the lane really, really uninteractive. And you make it difficult for your opponent to really say much about it. Bot lane is going to be the really interesting one for me because I am really concerned about this Comet. As soon as I saw Comet, I didn't like what Immortals were playing at all anymore, but I think they have to get way ahead, it feels like. Like if you're going to play Comet Varus, if you're going to play Lethality Varus, you have got to be playing from way ahead, I think, to really do much, especially when there's not AP carries, because even if you're getting to later stages where you have a lot of poke, Graves and Jinx can both build lifesteal, right? And then they don't really care about your poke, and the tanks don't really care about your poke. So I do think it becomes very, very difficult. Of course, Comet Varus is really strong, you know, for that 2v2. You just throw out your E, and you're guaranteed to land that Comet with the slow. So it's really nice little poke and trade. And the all-ins can also be very, very powerful. You know, we're comboing with the Nautilus, so there is strength to it. But I'm just so concerned of like, what does your team fight look like as tactical when Ksante and Maokai are just running straight at you and you're building lethality?
Right. How are you going to fight them off? How are you going to deal with this? I have been updated from producers. First ever Graves mid in the LCS. Actually, we did see it in solo lanes before in top, like you were talking about, but this is the first time in the LCS at least that we've got it here in mid lane. So hopefully Insanity can have a nice premiere on the champion in this specific role. TSM just up a couple hundred gold, but most of that this early in the game is just going to be whoever's wave has been shoved first and who still has the money to pick up as that wave is crashing in. Kenvi coming around, might be looking for a gank here in mid, but Insanity backs off. Kenvi's not going to have his chance just yet, but hanging around this area, he does see that enemy chicken camp respawn. Goes in after that one. Bugi's in the bottom lane, though. Treatz finds a dredge line on him, but he's got to be careful. Chime throws out the handshake, but he won't find Treatz with it. Bugi ends up eating a lot of damage there, and honestly, for a 2v3, Tactical and Treatz fight that off pretty well.
Yeah, they do, but honestly, spending the Q onto the jungler, unless you're worried about the dive and that's what you're trying to sway, it doesn't really do anything, because he's already done all his camps, and he's going to base, right? You can see by his CS, he did his full clear, so there's not really any worry about that. Looks like Kenvi, though, up the top side, is going to steal the respawn here.
Yeah, he got both.
So really nicely done. He takes that away, you know, gets the Raptors as well. He is not going to look for any sort of a wraparound on Ksante. I guess he just doesn't feel like he has enough damage to do it. Doesn't want to lose his tempo. So he just wants to reset, spend his gold, and get his camps that have now respawned as well.
Yeah, Hauntzer has full health and most of his mana. Solo is at half HP and nearly out of mana. So just Sejuani coming around with no inventory besides the jungle item.
Got no damage.
It feels like there's just not enough firepower to do anything meaningful to that Ksante. So instead, just wants to keep up the tempo that he earned for himself, stealing away those enemy camps, make sure that he keeps that going forward. Now he's moving down here to the other side of the map. Might be able to find an opportunity. Of course, we know that this Tri-Brush is warded. So as soon as he steps close to it, yeah, they're going to back away.
Yeah, and that's always a dead giveaway, right? Like, he gets even close to that Tri-Brush, they immediately start running. So they have to have information that is there. Bugi, though, comes in. He's going to be able to steal away the Raptors while he is taking his own Krugs. So, you know, that is always pretty nice. Insanity just needs to continue shoving, just keep Bolulu locked in here so we can have first move towards the Raptors. You can see Insanity's even playing down towards that bottom side. Right. This is warded out as well. They even have that nice ward over there. So Kenvi again has been spotted, and Bugi will move down to cover. But a lot of time spent in this bottom quadrant without many results. There's a pink ward as well over by Raptors. So they're just seeing Kenvi literally everywhere he goes. He's spotted in Tri, then he's spotted on Krugs, now he's spotted by Raptors, so they have full intel. TSM have done a really good job of tracking his movements constantly.
And with Bugi stealing back that enemy Raptor camp, it does bring Kenvi back down to only +1 over his opponent after counter jungling that upper red side quadrant. And now TSM, with their control over the bottom lane, their control over the mid lane, when you've got both of those with the full push, it's very easy to take this first Drake. It's another Ocean 6 minutes into the game. That's going to feel great for all your lanes.
Absolutely, especially when you're going against, you know, poke like this this Comet Varus. And Chime going to go over. He actually delays the recall as well. So now they're not feeling comfortable in actually finishing this recall because it is not a cannon wave. So the recalls will get stopped on bot side. Turtle, you know, with his cull, is going to be up farm, is going to get this nice recall. And TSM going to be feeling really, really good, I think, about how the early minutes have gone in this game, getting themselves that really strong early Ocean. And having that advantage on that bot side. And Kenvi now about to face check.
Kenvi's got a problem, and the problem's named Insanity. He tries to flash away, but Chime with a flash follow, handshake. All that matters is where the money goes, and it goes over to Graves.
Nicely done. Insanity going to be able to pick that up, and it is lethality, so it's not a Shiv rush at the very least. It is not going to be a Shiv probably at all, I would assume, with this, but we'll have to see exactly where he takes us, but it's a nice job there. They have just had such good reads on where Kenvi is, and now it's going to be a red respawn that's stolen away as well. So really annoying first 7 minutes there for Kenvi. He's been tracked at every turn and now losing, you know, pretty much all those camps.
Nicely done from TSM, though. Here in the early game, Insanity gets stunned up by Bolulu, who nearly bursts him down. Insanity still has that flash. He wanted to flash out early. Bolulu still needs another spell to get this done. He wants to close the gap. Nice use of the smoke screen there. Insanity had just enough mana to use that to disengage and keep himself alive.
Wait, he's going to get stopped by Tibbers. You got to run. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, sure.
He's paying enough attention. Not going to die, anything silly like that. It is a trade of flashes, though, around that jungle. Going to be able to flash in, force out the flash from the Graves. Lethality Graves is very squishy. Does not have the Merc Treads, though, so going to be a little bit more difficult to actually burst him down. And Merc Treads just have such high value against what Immortals has drafted. They're so heavily CC based on this team. Yeah. They're going to move up towards top side, though. Start up this Rift Herald. Bugi has spotted it. Hauntzer is moving down. And you can see Chime is coming up as well. Insanity has returned for base. I just don't know that they can actually get in the pit fast enough. It looks like it's just gone.
Okay, the Herald's already been secured by IMT. They fire off the hostile takeover. Bugi's here in the middle of everybody. TSM with a super mega death rocket across the map. Find the first, and Hauntzer with the Antofo strikes takes the second.
Nicely done from TSM. Immortals try to actually just take that very boldly moving in towards that Herald pit. They do get it, but it costs them multiple lives here, and they're going to lose plates. I mean, at least one plate dies here. They're going to lose minions mid lane as well, potentially a plate there also. So already, this is not even close to worth it. TSM are crushing Immortals in these early minutes, have done a really good job tracking Kenvi. He hasn't been able to get anything done. And now taking the Dragon on bot side, punishing the Herald take on top side. They are way ahead at this point. You can see them going in, and Chime catches all three with the hostile takeover. When you are stuck in that, you are gonna get destroyed in the fights. Turtle from downtown, the cross map ulti gets him a kill on the Jinx. And that's just insult to injury. The Jinx being able to get that cross-map ulti for a kill and taking a plate and denying farm is just everything you could ever want.
And you talked about how the Immortals draft is so CC heavy, but when you're fighting in these small corridors, in the enclosed areas like the Rift Herald pit or near one of these ramps, the Maokai ult and the Renata ult put together just blanket the battlefield in a way that's impossible to navigate.
Yeah, it is really, really difficult because Maokai ult makes you stack up. You all want to be behind one guy, so only one guy gets rooted. But if you're all stacking up in that Maokai ultimate with the Renata ultimate coming through, you're all going to get berserk. You're all going to get shredded. So it does really kind of create that chaos when both get thrown out at the same time. You're right. Everyone just kind of has to scatter, and it's every man for themselves in a lot of ways, which is going to buy so much space for Turtle and Insanity, who are going to do a lot more consistent damage than their counterparts. You know, again, I was so concerned as soon as I saw that it was going to be lethality here from Tactical. So I'm so interested, you know, what the thought process was that led them to go lethality in this draft, because I just don't really understand how they're ever supposed to get through the opposing front line.
And the first fully completed item in the game is Kraken Slayer for Turtle's Jinx. So you're talking about the difference in DPS between those carries. If it wasn't enough of an issue as a baseline, when you have the item completion difference, it's just a no-fight red light for the side of Immortals if that Jinx is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Tactical is going to have to land such good poke before any sort of fight that they take, right? I don't think you're going to be looking for anything 100-0 unless Bolulu finds an angle to just 100-0 a Jinx or a Graves. Like, if you can do that, then you can slowly whittle down the front line, and sure, you can kind of take that long fight. But otherwise, he's really going to have to soften people up because Hauntzer and Bugi are going to be so difficult to deal with. And TSM down here, Dragon spawning up. They're clearing out vision. They're going to have saplings around to cover their take. They're playing out a really strong early game here. They're looking to establish control.
They've got that 2,000 gold lead. Also, teleports ready for both of the top laners. Both of those teleports are unleashed, so they can join the fight if they need to. IMT dropping that Herald in mid lane. Looking to grab the plate money here. Plates number 1 and 2 going to die to that, but Insanity can clear out the Herald before it does too much more damage. TSM again with control over the bottom lane, control over that push every single time this game. That control has given them these advantages. There it is, second Drake of the game over to TSM, and it's a Hex Soul this time around. So you know they're going to be interested in keeping this one stacking. Already having the 2 Drakes at 12 minutes means if you keep these going on spawn, you're going to have a Hex Soul before the 23-minute mark. Yeah,
absolutely, especially with double marksman. You know, it's so easy to continuously apply that zap. It is really, really strong. The attack speed you're getting from those dragons as well. Very, very nice. So we'll see if TSM can continue to do that. Is Ghostblade Rush here for Insanity. So pretty interesting, you know, definitely prioritizing that lethality. The active obviously is really nice. You know, the move speed and the ghosting can be pretty strong, and you do get out of combat move speed as well. So there is the ability to move around the map pretty well. And we'll see exactly what he can do. You know, generally, the lethality builds, it's just all about chunking backline, right? It's all about having that backline access. If Ksante and Maokai get in the backline, they may not be able to 100-0 Tactical or Annie, but if all of a sudden the lethality Graves, you know, flashes in, gets Q, gets ulti, you don't even need to get anything more than that. Sometimes even just the ulti is enough. That can be enough damage to really put it over the top and allow those frontliners to finish off those squishy backliners by themselves.
Insanity dashed in on top of Bolulu there, forced the Tibbers out of him. And you notice one of the interactions there, Graves' knockback on non-champion targets does still work on Tibbers. So a little bit more of an advantage that he has over other champions when having to deal with that powerful summon from Annie. Means Insanity was able to quickly clear it out. And now he's farming up the enemy Raptors. He's just taking whatever resources he might be able to find and keeping the pressure on. TSM still up about 2,000 gold here as Kenvi and Bugi are both in the bottom side of the map. But I don't think Immortals wants this 3v3.
Yeah, it's really just kind of a coverage play. You know, Bugi has been down here, so I think Kenvi feels like he has to be down here as well to answer, and is now fighting over this vision. TSM feeling comfortable to push in to be able to take that out. Insanity on the roam. Again, he has that additional move speed. Look how fast he is out of combat there. You know, it's really significant how you can actually move around the map. So he is always going to have first move because he has the push, and he's going to travel across the map a lot faster than any can. And you can even see, you know, when you compare that ulti trait that we saw in mid lane where you're talking about Tibbers getting knocked back to that first time, as we may have a dive here.
Yeah, they fire off Nature's Grasp. They try to flash out, but Bolulu is not going anywhere. They get the kill over to Insanity again. Bugi wants to get out, but Solo knocks him down. It's a nice punish from Immortals, and it's delivered by the top laner. He wants to get another one. This is 2 very low health bars. Nice sidestep from Chime to avoid anything more.
Man, everyone tried to walk into it to block for Bugi. They weren't able to actually block the damage though because it is AoE from the point that you hit. So he still connects. Solo with that roam gets the kill on Bugi and forces the flash out of Insanity and Chime because of all that damage that did land. So, you know, not really expecting that. And Solo's gonna get back a tower. So wow, a great roam here from Solo. It is actually first brick as well. Sion just got paid like out of nowhere. He's gonna be one of the richest guys in the game.
Well, Hauntzer's tanking up here, leading the charge for TSM, who want to stop Immortals from grabbing the second Herald of the game. Little knock-up coming out from Treatz there, spending that ultimate as the hostile takeover flew out, but honestly didn't get a whole lot of results. Bugi at about half HP, gonna have a smite fight here. Herald stolen away by TSM, but now Insanity about to drop. He's got the bailout, but it's not gonna bail him out today. Shutdown back over to Bolulu as Treatz flashes over the wall for the chase, but he is alone. Everybody else can't get over the wall in time because of the chompers, so now we'll see Hauntzer disengaging with the rest of the team. The Hex Gates are taking Maokai on a special
Run, Bugi!
Jungle. Bugi has retreated towards enemy lines. Bolulu's after. Fire burns tree. Goodbye, Maokai.
Oh, can you get the wolf?
Okay, there we go.
He almost had smite. It's about 1 second from getting the wolf. Would have been worth. But, you know, it does go down at the end of the day. Nicely done by Immortals. Again, if you can kill off the Graves of the Jinx to start the fight, it can look pretty good. We can see this previous dive. Maokai ultimate placed really, really well. I think Bolulu, if anything, probably would have needed to try to run up instead of actually flashing down, but he was trying to flash back towards his team. And then here, watch everyone step back. Oh, no, we're going to go past the ulti. Here it is one more time. Bolulu was fully spotted, so Insanity knows he's there. He just kind of disrespected it. He was playing with fire a little bit, trying to protect that pink ward, trying to poke him prod. Just kind of walks up, gets anti-ulted, and basically gets one tap there. The bailout does nothing, and that allows them to push forward. Because Turtle alone is not going to be enough damage to do it, so Insanity's definitely not paying that respect to the Annie and will pay the price for it. You can see it's looking like a Void Staff second already for Bolulu because we already have 4 Merc Treads built up on the side of TSM.
And you also brought up the issue earlier with Lethality Varus. There is more responsibility on the rest of the team to provide damage to that front line of the Maokai and the Ksante. Yeah. So Bolulu's looking at it saying, all right, even if it's just ambient damage from Tibbers' AoE immolation, I have to be able to hurt these frontliners.
Yeah, it's always interesting, right? Because there's 2 schools of thought. There's like, if your champion is not designed to kill frontline, do you itemize to try to circumvent that? You know, which is, you know, Void Staff and things like the Leandries to try to get more damage? Or do you just say, no, I'm just going to ignore them completely and try to go like loot in the Stork Boots, whatever, and just one-shot the Jinx and hope that you win the fight that way, right? There's kind of those different schools of thought. So it is really interesting. And we'll have to see, you know, if this does pay off, because I do still have concerns as the game gets later.
Yeah. If
Insanity and Turtle are safe, can they deal with those frontliners, you know, even with this build, which will do more, you know, amp damage to the front line. It is going to be tough, but he is going CDR boots, he's going Leandries, so he's going to have, you know, that CDR mythic passive as well, which allows you to have really good uptime with the bear, and you still can definitely threaten those squishies with Leandries build. It's just obviously not kind of built for like a full-on one-shot.
Well, there it is. The Drake stack has stopped for TSM as Immortals secured their first Drake of the game. They grabbed that Hex Drake. Hex Drake's always such a nice one to get because the bonuses of the attack speed and the ability haste just feel good no matter what champion you're playing.
Yep, absolutely. Feels really, really nice. So we'll be good to grab that.
But it's still a bit of an issue. Immortals still about 2,000 gold behind. They've got the Duskblade on the Varus, but Tactical is still only about halfway towards the fully stacked tier. So even if he gets the Manamune completed, still not going to evolve to the Muramana until that's all the way there.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of working on those second items right now. Over on the other side, Bugi finally completed his first item with the Demonic Embrace coming together there. So there's that AP damage, really the only AP damage available on the side of TSM.
Yep. And it is going to be annoying to actually, you know, be getting hit by those saplings. Obviously, it's not really like a frontline threat, but it is still frustrating to deal with. You can see Turtle going with a build that I think it's really kind of just ruler that seems to have popularized, which we were seeing even kind of back at MSI when Kraken was a mythic still. You know, you just go Kraken, you go Zeal, you get that attack speed plus the Berserker Greaves. It just feels really good to kind of have that upgraded attack speed. Yeah. Then you go in for the BF and move towards IE. So, you know, we'll see if that is going to be that completed build.
Well,
but
of
a
course
lot of
you
people
can't go IE anymore. Or, oh, yeah, you could. That's right, because it's Mythic now.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it is Mythic now, yeah. But in the past, obviously, you could not. But
not a lot of IE builders these days, though.
No, there's not, but it is actually pretty high win rate, and it's really good at actually killing frontline. Most people do go Gale Force because they just prefer to have the ability to actually dodge out from skill shots, chase people down. I mean, Gale Force also scales really well now.
You called it. There it is. Yeah. Gale Force completed for the Jinx. Yeah, the power of the execute on that thing, very, very effective as Chime has to try to get away here. Treatz with the Hex Flash over the wall into the pit. And never mind, his supports. They're both just going to walk slowly towards or away from one another. No big issue there. 15 seconds until Baron spawns, 3 minutes away from a Drake. Kenvi can use Arctic Assault to get himself back over the wall. The gold lead has been frozen in time. Honestly, the game state's pretty locked on to where it has been, but I always feel like whenever the game is just proceeding at pace and one team has Jinx, they're all right with that.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you are going to be feeling really, really good. Ksante scales well. Maokai is good. I do think Renata is incredibly powerful in those later game fights also. But on the other side, there's definitely good scaling here with the front line too. Sion is just an ultra tank. And Insanity is going, you know, lethality. So he is really going for this build to burst backline, not really to deal with frontline. So that's going to be kind of all up to Turtle. That's why I was thinking there was a possibility of maybe going towards the IE build. Yeah. Because it is going to be the lethality Graves. But it is almost always Gale Force in pro, of course. You know, you do see that a tremendous amount. Plus, items just kind of fun to play with, to be honest. So even in solo queue, you see that a lot more often. But IE still can be good situationally. So, you know, I think a lot of it is going to be about, you know, can Insanity actually get past the front line to really burst that back line and how these fights are going to play out. Because it is very, very atypical, I think, from a lot of the games that we've seen. When you're looking at the compositions, like there's way more tank than there is damage kind of on both sides.
Manamune completed for Tactical. Really, really wants to get that evolved all the way ASAP.
Or TP flank.
Away there now. Treatz eating a lot of damage. Gonna have to get away from this one. Super Mega Death Rocket does not work. Turtle now having a flash away to escape. Solo's engaged as Nature's Grasp keeps the rest of Immortals from following up in the front line. Solo with a flash back over the wall. He knew he had to use that, otherwise he's down. The team was too far separated. The Maokai ult did a really good job of making sure that Immortals were staggered and couldn't back up that Sion.
Yeah, they did get the flash off Turtle though, and that is really big because Bolulu still has his flash, so he's gonna have to be really careful about that potential of Bolulu flashing on him, of Kenvi flashing on him. That is gonna be terrifying. It is double TP down though now for Immortals, so TSM will have the ability to play more heavily through side lanes with the Ksante, who does have that TP advantage. If he can move down towards bot, push out those waves, and then that should allow TSM to move in on the top side with the threat of that Ksante TP to join.
TSM, hey, the lead's a little bit bigger than it was, so that's something, but I really expect to see, hopefully, a fight around this Drake here in about 45 seconds. Ooh, nice interrupt on Turtle's back, especially with just such a small timer on setting up for this Drake. Not having your AD carry with you is going to impact TSM's ability to get in there and set up as early as they would like, you would think. Chime going back to base himself, going to stop that recall now as Immortals move into this bottom side river. Scryer's Bloom going to fire off, only finds the champions, no wards or anything placed down by them except for that control ward they already knew was there in the river.
Looks like they might not even be going for Dragon anyway, because we just saw the Hexgate used from Insanity out towards top. He is now coming down towards mid though, so they are going to at least try to play through mid, and this is where Varus can kind of shine if you can really connect a lot of these poke. Just keep hitting your Qs, chunk them out, dissuade TSM from really being able to enter, because I think this is kind of that point where you do have the advantage. You hit the first Q onto Chime, hit the second Q onto Insanity, now a little bit of poke there onto Turtle. If Tactical can get them softened up enough, you may be able to make it so they don't even want to take the fight.
Well, they're going to start the Drake up already.
In an awkward spot.
Yeah, Tactical, that's not where he needs to be. Flashing back over the wall, staying alive. They fire off the Kenvi ult, but the Glacial Prison hits nobody. Hauntzer joining back up with the rest of TSM as Bolulu is behind him. Finds the stun, but only onto the Ksante. He's ready to go all out, but he's nearly bursted before he can even get there. Hauntzer's about to drop, and Bolulu shuts him down. Nature's Grasp over the wall, they get Bolulu back. TSM TSM trying to fight here. Insanity's low. Chime and Turtle are separated from the rest of the team. Insanity back close to the turret, looking to keep himself alive still as Solo leads the charge. Turtle with the Gale Force away. Kenvi with a flash forward. The bailout comes through, but it will not save them. Decimating smash on the 2 as Kenvi barely keeps himself up, and Solo's looking to tank everybody with a double kill back over to Insanity now. Another decimating smash. Solo is out of mana. Kenvi's still looking to take the blue buff. He runs back into a face full of buckshot. Immortals just got cleaned up, and TSM just got paid.
What a messy fight, but at the end of the day, Insanity's able to clean it up. This one was crazy as Tactical just kind of walks in blind, knowing that they could be in the area. He does have to immediately flash out, and then you think, okay, TSM are gonna crush this fight, but it's so disorganized. Look at everyone who's completely split up. Bolulu gets spotted. Insanity's running out the top. Look at where Turtle is right now. They're trying to retreat back towards mid lane. Then they realize there's a fight over on the other side of the jungle, so they try to move in here, but then you're walking through, and look at Tactical on the bottom of your screen. He's just shredding TSM as they're trying to actually get back through. Turtle even using the cleanse to try to get in range, but he's taking so much poke over the wall there. Has to use the Gale Force for retreat, but they're able to flash in, finish him off, and then on the other end, it's just Insanity. You don't think is going to be able to finish this fight off, but the resources are expiring. They get that first collector kill. Solo is completely and he is healing up with this fleet footwork. Kills them off one by one by one. Insanity took over in this fight. It was such a messy one, really disorganized on both sides, but it's Insanity that just kind of thrives in that chaos.
And he was so low, so early, because Bolulu focused down Hauntzer, and then Insanity was right next to him. This time around, though, Immortals recognized the problem, and they immediately solved.
They're going Baron.
That is a green light for a Baron call. TSM forced to answer now. Hauntzer's the furthest away, but he has a teleport to come up here. Turtle over in the mid lane as Bugi and Chime are over the wall. They have both of those big ultis. Remember, the hostile takeover in the Nature's Grasp. Massive tools to swing this the way of
Turtle
TSM.
has no flash.
Turtle's got to be careful because Treatz is over the wall. He has real flash ready to go if Immortals want to try to turn this. Nature's Grasp goes off first. TSM looking for their fight. Decimating smash here in the front. Treatz goes over the wall, but Treatz is alone. Haunts are being focused by the rest of Immortals, but Treatz is going to die first. Hostile takeover guarantees it, as Kenvi and Solo are controlled by the powerful ultis of TSM. Immortals continuing to disengage back over the wall, as Bolulu and Tactical got to regroup with the front line.
They're going to go Baron.
TSM win the fight 1-0. Treatz, you can see what he wanted to do, but he goes in on Turtle alone and just ends up giving away a freebie.
Yeah, I mean, flashes over the wall, but your whole team is zoned out by the Maokai ult as well as by the Renata ult. There's no shot they can actually follow up on that. You need an additional flanker with him, I feel like. If Bolulu's on this side as well, then maybe that kind of a play can work. But they had already spent Tibbers as well on the top side. They spent the Sejuani ult on the top side. So that's kind of a lot of your follow-up. And when they go in for this play, this time Turtle is pretty much completely untouched. None of the carries can reach him. It's just Treatz there. So he is free firing and things go so bad so fast. You can see the Maokai ultimate committed, and then in comes over the wall Treatz in the bottom side of your screen, commits the ulti there. Hauntzer is just buying time in the backline, flashes out, creating that space, and then in comes the Renata ulti connecting on 2-3 members from Chime. And look at Turtle just stepping forward, free firing non-stop. They push him back, and they can turn right in onto that Baron, which they have now secured during the replay.
Unlucky turn of events there for Immortals, not respecting how powerful these Renata and Maokai ultimate combos are in the river. We've been talking about it since back before that first scuffle around the Rift Herald. The way that these abilities interact, the way that they force you to pick which side of your mouth you want to get punched in is not going to work if Immortals keep picking these battlefields.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. And in those fights, it's like, I understand the thought process because you just killed the Graves, but you spent the Sejuani ulti and the Annie ulti, to actually get that pick. So you don't have a lot of your most powerful turn. And if you don't have that, like where's your damage coming from, right? Because you just have lethality Varus and you have an Annie without ultimate. Who's going to do the damage here, guys? Like, no, there's no one to really threaten the Jinx because they couldn't actually get back to him. And in those like full turn fights, you don't have time for Varus to soften them up like he did in that Dragon fight. So, I understand the thought process, but it seemed like a very difficult vision to kind of execute on, and now potentially Hauntzer's going all out, but he's maybe just going to die.
Chunked himself pretty deep, but they knock down the turret. Nature's Grasp and hostile takeover. Bolulu goes into the back, but he's all alone. It's too little, it's too late. It's 2-4 gone for Immortals as TSM just killed 3 for nothing. They got the Baron, they got the minions, and they got themselves moving straight towards an IMT Nexus.
Yeah, they're getting it all. Chime, oh, he's going to go down here, unfortunately. Took one shot too many. But we'll see if it stops them from ending. They are getting a little bit low, and now I think they're getting nervous about potentially not being able to end it. They want to get Soul, but they aren't going to have their support for this now. So there is a window for Immortals because of that death to contest at this Soul, because Chime is going to be spawning as it comes up a couple seconds after. So if everyone is there, they can maybe make this happen. Hauntzer goes super aggressive here, but he has the bailout, so he feels confident to do it. Goes all out from full HP, and this is where I was thinking, hey, maybe he can actually get burst down, but they just don't have any damage. It's only Varus there to actually hit him, so there's no real damage. Bolulu comes in from the side, but look at that Gale Force from Turtle. Immediately reacted to Bolulu as he flashes in. Turtle Gale Forces away, and he can't get anything done.
And remember, it's Jinx. He's laughing because he knows not only was this the perfect setup because they knew they could knock the turret down and force the fight, Jinx starts that fight excited. Bugi goes in. He goes for the twisted advance, and Tactical's already down. Solo's tanking rockets with no follow-up from the rest of his team. Bolulu is low and Insanity's assassinated him. Kenvi wants to get away, and there's just no hope. Treatz dies next, a double kill back over the Turtle. TSM crushed the fight. TSM's bringing Hauntzer back into the top lane, and TSM are ready to finish this game.
TSM destroying Immortals here today. 10K up, not even 30 minutes in. They are going to be marching on the Nexus. A dominant win for TSM, and they're going to move to 2-2. Looking really good so far in the summer split.
Yep, they're going to tie Immortals here in the standings. Taking down them Nexus turrets, padding the stats. They don't get the soul, but who needs it? Nexus instead just past 30 minutes into the game. 18-7, 12,000 gold ahead. Trying to see if they might be able to get 1 or 2 more kills. Tactical nearly dies on spawn, and TSM take the dub.
Yep, TSM looking really, really good in that one. Was a very one-sided affair. Expectations definitely were low for TSM coming into this split, but they have